The galactic civil war had extended for too many years, consuming entire worlds in its destructive fire. At the heart of the Republic, Palpatine observed each movement of the political board with the precision of a predator. He knew that Anakin Skywalker, his most valuable target, was beginning to ask uncomfortable questions, his suspicions growing like shadows at dusk. The Chancellor needed to remove the young Jedi Knight from Coruscant before his investigations revealed truths too dangerous. Republic intelligence had intercepted crucial separatist communications, revealing the exact location of the leaders on Mustafar. It was the perfect opportunity to remove Anakin from the central political scene, sending him far away under the pretext of a glorious mission that would finally guarantee him the recognition he so desired. Palpatine smiled to himself in his private office, knowing he was moving the pieces exactly where they needed to be. The Jedi Council gathered in the circular chamber, where the light of Coruscant filtered through the tall windows. Mace Windu observed Anakin with that serious expression that rarely left his face, while Yoda remained seated in his chair, eyes closed in deep meditation. "An opportunity we have, young Skywalker," said Yoda, opening his eyes slowly. "End this war, you can." On Mustafar, the separatist leaders are gathered. Obi-Wan crossed his arms, worried about the magnitude of the mission. "This is a delicate task, Anakin. Newt Gunray, Wat Tambor, all will be there. It will be dangerous." Ki-Adi-Mundi added, "But if you succeed, the war can finally end. Millions of lives will be spared." Anakin felt the weight of responsibility, but also a pang of pride for finally being recognized by the council that had so often doubted him. "I will not disappoint you," he promised, his voice firm and determined. Mustafar was a world of fire and molten rock, where rivers of lava cut through the blackened surface. Anakin landed his ship at the mining facilities, feeling the intense heat even through the climate control systems. The metallic structures gleamed with the orange reflection of the lava, creating an infernal atmosphere that seemed appropriate for the end of the Separatist Confederacy. He activated his lightsaber, the blue blade cutting through the reddish gloom as he advanced through the corridors. R2-D2 followed faithfully behind, emitting nervous beeps about the temperature readings. "Stay alert, R2, murmured Anakin, his right hand gripping the saber with determination as he approached the conference room where the leaders were meeting. The droid responded with an affirmative whistle, its sensors sweeping each shadow for potential threats. The complex was surprisingly empty, the battle droids having been deactivated by order of the separatist leaders themselves who sought privacy in their final discussions. The execution was quick and precise, as expected from one of the Order's best swordsmen. Newt Gunray tried to negotiate, his trembling voice echoing through the room, but Anakin was not there to talk. Wat Tambor and the others tried to flee, but in the narrow facilities there was nowhere to run. Anakin moved like a storm, each strike calculated, each movement flowing naturally from the Force. There was no anger in his attacks, only the cold determination of a Jedi fulfilling his duty. When the last Separatist fell, Anakin deactivated his saber, feeling a mixture of relief and emptiness. "The war is over," he said to R2-D2, but something in his heart couldn't celebrate completely. It was as if a shadow hung over his victory, a premonition that something terrible was coming, though he couldn't identify exactly what. He looked through the panoramic window of the conference room, watching the lava flow in incandescent rivers below, and felt an inexplicable chill run down his spine. It was then that the hologram flickered to life, projecting Palpatine's hooded figure in the dusty air. "Anakin, my young friend." The Chancellor's voice sounded different, laden with an urgency he rarely displayed. "A terrible tragedy has occurred. The Jedi tried to seize power, attacked me in my own office. Mace Windu is dead, but they have betrayed the Republic." Anakin felt his blood freeze, confusion taking over his thoughts. "That doesn't make sense, Chancellor. Why would the Jedi do this?" "Master Windu was a man of principles," Palpatine continued, his voice taking on a darker and more urgent tone. "Come home, Anakin. Padme needs you. The Jedi may try to use her against me, against you. She is in danger." The hologram disappeared, leaving Anakin alone with thousands of questions and no satisfactory answers. He looked around the empty room, where the bodies of the Separatist leaders lay scattered, and felt that the universe had transformed into something unrecognizable in a matter of minutes. The distance from Coruscant gave Anakin something precious: time to think. He was not under the immediate pressure to choose a side in the heat of the moment. There was no Palpatine whispering promises of power in his ear while Padme died in his visions. He activated his communicator, trying to contact Obi-Wan, Yoda, any council member who could explain what was happening. The news arriving was fragmented, confusing, speaking of Jedi being hunted throughout the galaxy. Clones who had fought alongside them now shot them down without hesitation. Anakin looked at the flames of Mustafar through the window, feeling that the world he knew was burning as intensely as that planet. "What is happening?" he asked the void, knowing that answers would only come when he returned home. D2 emitted a sad beep, sharing his master's anguish in that moment of absolute uncertainty. Anakin sat heavily in one of the conference room chairs, trying to process the magnitude of what Palpatine had said and reconcile it with everything he knew about the Jedi. The communicator finally crackled with a familiar voice, hoarse with exhaustion and pain. "Anakin." Obi-Wan's voice sounded like an anchor amid the storm of confusion. "Thank the Force you're alive. The Order was betrayed, massacred. Palpatine is a Sith Lord. He orchestrated everything." Anakin felt his legs weaken, the floor seeming to move under his feet. "Impossible. He's the Chancellor. He helped us throughout the war." Yoda interrupted, his grave voice carrying centuries of wisdom. "Truth it is, young Skywalker. Darth Sidious, he always was. Blind we were, but see him now we must." Obi-Wan continued, his voice laden with emotion. "Meet us on Coruscant, at the coordinates I'll send. We need you, my old friend. We are all that remains of the Council." Anakin looked one last time at Mustafar before running to his ship, his mind spinning with revelations that rewrote everything he thought he knew. His master's words echoed in his mind as he began preparations for the return journey, his hands trembling slightly on the controls. The return journey seemed to last an eternity, each second laden with growing anxiety. When Anakin finally emerged from hyperspace, Coruscant was before him, but transformed. The planet city he had known all his life as a Jedi now seemed threatening, its lights no longer representing hope, but surveillance. Imperial patrols circled everywhere, and Anakin had to use all his piloting skill to avoid detection. He followed the coordinates to a discreet meeting point in the lower levels of the city, where a familiar ship awaited him in an abandoned hangar. Yoda emerged first, leaning on his cane, seeming to have aged decades in a matter of days. Obi-Wan was injured, a cut crossing his forehead, his eyes carrying a weight that Anakin had never seen before. "Master." Anakin ran to them, embracing Obi-Wan tightly. "Glad to see you alive." "I am," said Yoda, his voice trembling but firm. Obi-Wan returned the embrace, and for a moment allowed himself to feel relief at having his old Padawan back safe and sound. "We feared you had also been caught by the betrayal," murmured Obi-Wan. The Senate had been transformed into a theater of political horror. Crowds applauded as Palpatine, now openly assuming his true form, declared himself Emperor of the galaxy. His pale skin marked by the scars of Sith lightning was exposed for all to see, but Imperial propaganda had already painted this as the result of a cowardly Jedi attack. Padme and Bail Organa watched from the senatorial gallery, their faces masks of controlled horror. "So this is how liberty dies?" Padme whispered, her hands instinctively going to her belly, where new life was growing. With thunderous applause, Bail gently touched her shoulder. "Not all is lost, Senator. There are those who still remember what the Republic meant. We need to find the surviving Jedi." Both knew that time to act was running out quickly. Around them, senators applauded or wept in silence, the galaxy dividing before their eyes into collaborators and resistors. Some senators exchanged meaningful glances, already planning how they could resist in secret. The Jedi Council chamber was strangely silent, the empty chairs serving as memorials for those who occupied them only days before. Yoda sat in his usual place, his eyes scanning each empty seat with deep sadness. "Lost they are, but forgotten they will never be," he murmured, gently touching the chair where Mace Windu used to sit. Anakin was restless, pacing back and forth. "We need to do something. Palpatine killed the Jedi, destroyed everything we defended. We can't just accept this." Obi-Wan, more controlled but equally furious, responded, "And what do you suggest, Anakin? Storm the Senate? He has an army of clones now programmed to kill us. We would be shot down before getting close." Yoda raised his small hand. "Hasty we must not be. Think clearly we must. React with anger. To the dark side leads." The words hung heavy in the tense air of the chamber. Anakin stopped walking, forcing himself to control his turbulent emotions, remembering all the years of Jedi training. Padme's quarters became the improvised headquarters of the nascent resistance. Bail Organa arrived discreetly, followed by Yoda, Obi-Wan, and Anakin. Padme embraced Anakin as soon as she saw him, tears of relief streaming down her face. "I thought I had lost you," she whispered against his chest, trembling. "Never," Anakin promised, holding her as if she might disappear. Bail cleared his throat. "I'm sorry to interrupt, but we have urgent decisions to make. Every hour that passes, Palpatine consolidates his power." Yoda leaned on his cane. "Listen we should to what Senator Organa has to say. Wise he is." Bail walked to the window, looking at the illuminated city outside. "Alderaan can offer sanctuary. My planet will remain loyal to the Republic's ideals, even though it has fallen. We can regroup there, organize a resistance." Obi-Wan nodded thoughtfully. "It's a start, but we'll need more than just a safe planet. We'll need allies, resources, a long-term strategy." The discussion extended through the night, each person contributing different perspectives. Anakin argued for immediate action, his youth making it difficult to accept strategic patience. "Every day we wait, more Jedi die, more systems submit to the Empire. We're letting Palpatine win without fighting." Yoda shook his head. "Save everyone we cannot, young Skywalker. Accept this you must. Survive first we must, to fight later we can." Padme, always the diplomat, offered a practical perspective. "Bail is right. We need a safe base, resources, allies. Alderaan can give us that, and from there we can begin to build a resistance network." Obi-Wan looked at Anakin. "I know it's difficult, my old friend, but we can't win this war today. Palpatine spent decades planning this. We'll need time to undo his work." Anakin finally yielded, recognizing the wisdom in their words. "Then let's go to Alderaan. But we won't hide forever. One day we'll make Palpatine pay for everything he destroyed." The determination in his voice made it clear this was not a surrender, but merely a tactical retreat. Bail smiled slightly. "That's the attitude we'll need to win." Alderaan was everything Coruscant was no longer. Green, tranquil, an oasis of peace in a galaxy descending into tyranny. In the royal palace, discreetly transformed into a rebel command center, Padme felt the first contractions. Anakin was by her side, holding her hand while fear and hope battled in his heart. "Everything will be fine," he whispered, more to himself than to her. Hours later, when the first rays of Alderaan's sun touched the snowy mountains, two cries echoed through the medical room. Luke and Leia, two beacons of light born in the darkest hour of the galaxy. Anakin held his children, tears flowing freely down his face, and felt something change deeply within him. It was no longer just about avenging fallen Jedi or defeating Palpatine. It was about giving these little beings a future where they could grow free, where they would know peace and not tyranny. Padme, exhausted but radiant, looked at Anakin holding the babies and knew they had found their true reason to fight. "They are perfect," she whispered, and Anakin nodded, unable to speak through tears of joy. In the following months, Bail Organa and Mon Mothma worked tirelessly to build an alliance of worlds willing to resist the Empire. Yoda and Obi-Wan provided guidance, their combined wisdom shaping the structure of the nascent rebellion. Secret meetings took place in discreet halls, brave senators risking their lives to preserve the Republic's memory. Entire worlds are suffering under the imperial yoke, Mon Mothma reported in one of these meetings. We need to offer hope, show that resistance is possible. Yoda listened attentively. Careful we must be, strong the Empire is, patient we must be, but active also. Bail added, but we cannot be so patient that we lose the moment. The people need to see they are not alone. The Rebel Alliance was taking shape, slowly but deliberately. Each recruitment was celebrated. Each system that secretly swore support was a small but significant victory against the Imperial machine. Anakin participated in these meetings, offering tactical perspectives from his experiences in the Clone Wars. Obi-Wan and Yoda, however, carried a weight that threatened to crush them. In private conversations, they spoke about exile, about exiling themselves to remote worlds and letting the galaxy follow its course. We failed, Obi-Wan said one night, looking at Alderaan's stars from the palace gardens. The Jedi Order ended because of our arrogance, our blindness. Perhaps it's better that we disappear. Yoda sighed deeply. Truth there is in your words, but surrender should we? Allow darkness to win without resistance. It was Anakin who found them that night, Luke sleeping in his arms. You speak of giving up. His voice had a new firmness, forged by fatherhood. Look at him. Look at Leia. They deserve to grow up knowing the Jedi, not just stories of cowardice and failures. Obi-Wan began to protest, but Anakin continued. Master Yoda, Master Obi-Wan, you taught me that a Jedi never gives up, that we fight for what is right no matter the odds. This galaxy needs the Jedi now more than ever. His words resonated in the silence of the night, carrying a power that came not just from the Force, but from a deeply human conviction. Luke stirred in Anakin's arms, as if agreeing with his father's words. Anakin's words ignited something that was almost extinguished. Yoda straightened up, his eyes recovering part of their old brightness. Right, young Skywalker has. Forget who we are, we cannot. Jedi we are, and Jedi we will remain. Obi-Wan looked at his old Padawan with new respect. When did you become so wise, Anakin? Anakin smiled slightly. I had good teachers, and now I have even better reasons to fight. In the following days, the dynamic changed completely. Instead of two defeated Jedi Masters advising from afar, Yoda and Obi-Wan became active participants in building the alliance. Anakin emerged as a voice of hope and determination, his natural charisma attracting others to the cause. He had found his purpose, not as the chosen one destined to bring balance to the Force in an abstract way, but as a father fighting for a better future for his children. Rebel soldiers began seeking him out for guidance, inspired by his presence and his words of encouragement. Stories of his courage in the Clone Wars circulated through the rebel camps, giving hope to recruits. The following 3 years saw the Rebel Alliance grow from a handful of idealists to a real force. Anakin and Obi-Wan traveled throughout the galaxy on secret missions, searching for surviving Jedi who had escaped Order 66. Each Jedi found was a small but significant victory. Rebel cells spread across star systems, carrying out sabotage, distributing propaganda, planting seeds of resistance. Anakin proved to be not just a formidable warrior, but an inspiring leader, his words giving courage to the hopeless. On Alderaan, Luke and Leia grew surrounded by love and stories of a time when the Jedi protected the galaxy, their small hands already reaching for objects through the Force without realizing it. Anakin watched them with pride and renewed determination. It was during a reconnaissance mission that they intercepted critical Imperial communications. Anakin and Obi-Wan were returning from Dantooine when R2-D2 captured highly secure encrypted transmissions. It took days to decode them, working with the Alliance's best technicians, but when they succeeded, the information was explosive. Emperor Palpatine planned to personally visit a secret installation under construction. The Death Star, a battle station with destructive power capable of annihilating entire planets. This is our chance, Anakin said at the Rebel Command meeting, his eyes shining with determination. Palpatine will be vulnerable outside Coruscant, far from his complete guard. Mon Mothma looked at Bail. It's risky. If we fail, the Alliance could be destroyed. We'll lose everything we've built. Yoda closed his eyes in deep meditation. Risky it is, but opportunity like this, again, we will not have. Decide we must. Obi-Wan placed his hand on Anakin's shoulder. Then we plan carefully. This could be the opportunity that changes everything. The room filled with nervous energy as everyone comprehended the magnitude of what they were about to attempt. Padme looked at Anakin, concern evident in her eyes, but also understanding that this moment was inevitable. The plan was elaborated over weeks, each detail examined and re-examined until everyone agreed it was as solid as possible. The rebel fleet, still modest but growing, gathered in deep space, hidden behind an asteroid field. Anakin was in the hangar, wearing his pilot suit while examining the X-Wing that would lead the attack. Like old times, Obi-Wan said, approaching with Yoda. Except this time there's no Jedi Council waiting to reprimand you for your reckless maneuvers. Anakin smiled, but there was deep seriousness in his eyes. This time there's something much more important at stake. My children, the galaxy's future. Yoda touched Anakin's leg with his small hand. Trust in you, we do, young Skywalker. May the Force be with us. Win we must, for all we have lost. R2, D2 whistled anxiously from the X-Wing socket, ready for another adventure alongside his favorite pilot. Around them, rebel pilots made their own pre-flight checks, each one aware that many would not return from this mission. Padme had said goodbye to Anakin hours before, her eyes full of tears but also pride. The Death Star hovered in space like an artificial moon, its gray surface marked by deep trenches and weapon towers. The rebel fleet emerged from hyperspace in attack formation, catching the Imperial forces by surprise. All squadrons with me? Anakin commanded over the communicator, his voice calm but authoritative. Maintain formation and protect the transports. Yoda and Obi-Wan need to get inside. That's our only objective. Fighters emerged like a swarm of angry insects, their engines screaming as they exchanged laser fire with rebel X-Wings and A-Wings. Anakin flew as he had always flown, with a combination of superhuman skill and absolute confidence in the Force. He dodged, spun, his shots finding targets with lethal precision. R2, divert energy from rear shields to forward. We'll need every advantage we can get. The droid beeped its agreement while executing the commands, completely trusting Anakin's combat instinct. Explosions illuminated the space around them as ships from both sides were destroyed. While the chaos of space battle exploded around the station, a small transport ship managed to penetrate the defenses, landing in a side hangar. Yoda and Obi-Wan emerged, lightsabers already ignited, the green and blue blades glowing in the gloom of the Imperial hangar. Stormtroopers ran to intercept them, but the two Jedi Masters moved like deadly whirlwinds, each movement economical and precise. The path to the command tower we know, said Yoda, deflecting blaster shots back at the shooters with movements almost impossible to follow. Their Sidious we will find. Prepared you must be. They advanced through the metallic corridors, the Force guiding each step, alerting them to dangers before they materialized. Imperial officers tried to close armored doors, but Obi-Wan cut through them with his saber, the bright blue blade melting the durasteel like butter. We're getting close, Obi-Wan murmured, feeling Palpatine's dark presence grow with each corridor they crossed. Alarms sounded throughout the station, but the two Jedi didn't slow down, knowing that every second counted. Imperial reinforcements converged on their position, but they were merely minor obstacles. The command tower was vast, full of computer terminals and tactical holograms showing the battle outside. In the center, on an elevated platform, stood Palpatine. The Emperor smiled upon seeing the two Jedi, a smile that didn't touch his yellow and cruel eyes. Master Yoda, Master Kenobi, how foolish of me to underestimate the tenacity of hiding rats. But your effort is futile. He raised his hands, and blue lightning of Sith energy exploded toward them with devastating force. Yoda blocked with his saber, the energy crackling against the green blade, illuminating the entire room. Obi-Wan moved to flank, but Imperial guards emerged from the shadows, their rifles firing concentrated bursts. "Deal with them," Yoda instructed, his voice tense from the effort. "With Sidious, I will deal." Obi-Wan nodded, diving into combat with the guards while Yoda advanced toward the Emperor. The room lit up with the glare of sabers and blaster fire, the air charged with ozone and force energy in violent conflict. The duel was brief but intense, each movement laden with decades of training and power. Palpatine was powerful, his centuries of Sith knowledge manifesting in each calculated strike. But Yoda was a combat master of the Old Republic, his 900 years of experience making him equally formidable. They moved so quickly they were almost blurs, sabers colliding in bursts of colored light that left burned marks on the floor. But Obi-Wan, distracted for a moment while taking down the last guard, didn't see the sniper hidden on an upper platform. The blaster shot hit him in the chest, piercing his heart. He fell, his saber rolling across the room's controls. "Obi-Wan!" Yoda shouted, the distraction costing him dearly as Palpatine took advantage. The Emperor pushed Yoda away with a powerful force push, hurling him against a wall. "Foolish old one, your friends will die like all Jedi, and then I will destroy everything you have built." But Yoda was not finished. He rose slowly, his rage transformed into cold and absolute determination. Obi-Wan, with his last breaths, looked to where he knew Anakin would be arriving soon and murmured, "Train him well, Anakin. The galaxy needs the Jedi, needs hope." Then his eyes closed for the last time, and he smiled peacefully. With a cry that seemed impossible coming from such a small creature, Yoda attacked with renewed vigor and controlled fury. His saber met Palpatine's defense repeatedly, each strike stronger than the last, finally disarming the Sith Lord with an impossible spinning movement. Before Palpatine could recover his weapon, Yoda struck him, wounding him gravely in the chest. In total desperation, Palpatine raised his hands, releasing the full force of his Force lightning, everything that remained of his power. But Yoda, using ancient techniques that few Jedi still knew, captured the dark energy and returned it amplified. Palpatine screamed as his own darkness consumed him, his body disintegrating until nothing remained but ashes and carbonized clothes scattered across the floor. Yoda fell to his knees, his small body trembling with total exhaustion and severe wounds. It was when Anakin came running in, having left his X-Wing as soon as the space battle was won. "Master Yoda!" He ran to the ancient Jedi, holding him gently in his arms. Yoda looked at Anakin, his eyes still bright despite the mortal fatigue taking hold of him. "Finished it is, young Skywalker, but begins now your true journey. The last hope of the Jedi Order you are. Restore it you must. Train Luke you must. Strong he will be like his father, and Leia too, powerful in the Force she is." With these words, Yoda smiled peacefully and disappeared, becoming one with the Force, leaving only his clothes. Anakin stood holding only the Master's empty robes, tears streaming down his face, but determination hardening his heart. He looked at Obi-Wan's body on the floor of the room and silently swore that their sacrifices would not be in vain, that he would build something worthy of their memories. The Rebel Alliance took control of the Death Star and the Imperial fleet present, a decisive victory that changed the course of the war. With Bail Organa, Anakin returned to Coruscant, where the Senate, finally freed from the fear that paralyzed them, voted to restore the Republic. In the rebuilt Jedi Temple, once again shining under Coruscant's sun, Anakin founded the new Jedi Order, becoming its Grand Master. His first Padawan was Luke, who trained under his father's proud gaze, while Leia grew strong in the Force alongside Padme, showing equal potential. The galaxy had found its light again, and balance had finally returned.